I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So like at 18, 19, I just left home. It's like and I had a car. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have nowhere to go. But I think I lived in my car for like 2 months when I first moved out. Yeah.
Like you just like spent every night in your car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
I had a
in Minneapolis, or where did you go?
yeah, and it was like around like the riots and stuff. Like around that time, I had a green minivan, and I would sleep in there. That was like my first car. It's a Grand Caravan.
Did you have any connections in the cities when you moved out here?
A few.
Like you had like something to do besides just drive around in your van, like all day. You know what I mean? Like what were you doing?
Yeah. I think like so mainly it was mostly just I was getting like to the end of the day and sleeping in there. So it wasn't like I was spending my time in there. I was doing like music stuff, like clothing. Like I was really into clothes then, and like the whole resale like shit going on then, and like I was doing a bunch of stuff during the day. But then like I didn't have a place to stay the night, and it wasn't because like I could always go back to my parents, but like at that time I was like heavy using drugs, like a lot of like psychedelics and a lot of drugs like that. So like my parents like were like, you can come back, but you gotta be sober, or you gotta go to like a treatment or something. And I just didn't want to do that. So it's kind of like by choice, I guess. But it's like, yeah, it was like a good few months. So it wasn't, and it was hard. It's like I can always like relate to like people like, oh man, I'm struggling. Like I want to make music, but I'm living in my car. I'm like, I get that struggle for sure.
Yeah, it's hard because music doesn't pay just to make music. You have to find a way to sell it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like with doing like interviews and Waterway Media stuff. It doesn't really pay the bills. You have to find a way to sell it, and find a way to build the product. So I understand that. I haven't gone through too much of having to like sleep in my car, but I do understand of wanting to get out of your hometown, get out of your parents' house, really explore the world a little bit, especially getting out of a town where people kind of just like grow up there, stay there, never leave. And I'm from Mankato, if you're familiar with Mankato
of course.
at all.
Yeah.
So like that's a pretty similar story of people just
do they stay there?
Born there, stay there, go to high school there, go to college. Like there's a college there.
Yeah.
Get married there, have their kids there, and just never leave.
That's like a little.
Never really experienced. I mean, besides going on like vacations, never really experienced the world on like a business aspect or like opportunity aspect. And I mean, I commend you for just taking that leap of faith.
Yeah, man. It was a leap of faith, like for sure. Like I didn't know what was happening, and I finally hit rock bottom, and I was like, all right, I gotta sober up. And then like once that happened, like I got like my first apartment and like kind of like settled down more.
We're able to like find a job and stuff.
Everything else. Like, and I was working then too. Like I was sleeping in my car and then going to Chipotle. That's like my first job. And then like sleeping in my car, going to Chipotle and stuff. And just different times for sure, man.
Yeah.
But I think now like I've been sober for a couple of years now, and like it's that's like the best advice I can give anyone is like move out of your hometown. And if you're doing drugs, get sober. That's it. Like the world is like literally like at your fingertips.
I've been meeting a lot of people that have gotten sober over the past few years. I feel like it's like a new wave of like people care about their health more. You know, it went from like a time of like
the 2016.
Like the Lil Pump and Smoke Perp era. Yeah. It was like they're popping Xans, doing lean, getting rich on the road, living life. But now it's like the drugs aren't even safe anymore, even if like you were to be doing them still. Like you're risking your life every time you might do a pill. I've never ventured into pills, so I've never had to be at risk. But I've fucked with like mushrooms before, and I've done like acid one time and whatnot. So it's like I understand the pull on like why that stuff can be either addicting or
so addicting.
Put you in a meditative state where you're just like relaxed.
And it's like people think it's like I think especially psychedelic. Like I think that's the drugs that aren't spoken about. Like people talk about the pills and super dangerous, and fentanyl kills so many people. And like if you're still doing drugs out there, test your drugs. But other than that, like I think like psychedelics are the ones they don't talk about, and I think those are like the most like sneaky like dangerous ones because like people are like, oh, it opens up my mind, like I feel more creative, like I'm more in touch with earth. But then if you're in touch with earth all the time, you're not really in reality anymore. And I think like what I was doing is like I was doing like a tab of acid a day. Like I was doing like extreme amounts of stuff just to feel like enlightened, and like really I was just frying my brain. And it doesn't really like the first time it might enlighten you, but
acid, a tab a day will definitely fry your brain.
I'm so happy it didn't because it very much well could have.
Trip off that type of stuff.
I think I still have like I don't know, the HPPD, I think it's called. Like when I go like this in like dark rooms, I'll see like a little streak. So it hasn't really fully gone away, but it's just my vision, not like my actual brain.
Yeah, it's just like it like triggers like a memory. Like honestly, because I feel that because like, I haven't done shrooms in over maybe almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
But I've never really had a bad experience with them. Just one like scary one when one of my friends had a bad trip. But I just I feel like they have to be just in the right setting. Everything has to be right to do it again.
Yeah.
But like that year that I kind of like hadn't taken them. Whenever I would smoke weed to a certain extent and like feel like a certain, I don't know if it was the way the wind would blow or like a certain song or like the atmosphere, like I would feel like the sensation of I'm off shrooms.
Yeah.
And it's like, so like it sticks around. It unlocks a part of your brain that is like, it's unlockable. Without it, it's a lot harder to unlock it. That third eye or whatever.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it happens. Like I've had moments like that, like riding a bike, and all of a sudden, like the whole world stops, and like the sky like starts moving, and I'm like, oh my god, what's going on?
You found a way to unlock it without needing to take it. You're so used to being in that area.
And I'm so much happier without like doing any of that stuff. Like I think like I say, like try everything once if you want to, but like know your risk. Like you could be like. You could get hooked on anything. Yeah. So it's like one of those things that's like, are you willing to take that risk? And if you are, like, just be careful or do it safely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Have a trip monitor or like
a trip sitter.
Trip sitter.
Yeah. Or like a good friend, really. Like anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like. Shit, right now I'm addicted to fucking energy drinks.
Dude,
that's the one.
That's a real addiction.
That's the drug that I'm like I was like fighting myself before you came in here next door, not like really like shaking at the door, but like to not buy a Celsius instead of just a bottle of water. I don't need one, but it'd be like, oh, I could use a little boost, but it's like I don't need it, but I want it.
Yeah,
it's like a hard thing. So like any substance, whether it's fucking caffeine or fucking any type of drug, is hard, but